Evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular council meeting. It's Tuesday, May the 26th, 2026. Advise you that the cameras are not working properly. We have some technical issues. They will not be swinging around totally to cover the whole room. So council, I would ask you to please speak loud so the microphones could pick you up. This meeting will be streamed live and recorded for public viewing on the town's YouTube page. We acknowledge that this land on which we are gathered today is part of the ancestral land of the Chippewa, Ottawa, and Potawatomi peoples, referred to collectively as Anishinaabe. It is through the connection of the Anishinaabe with the spirit of the land, the water, and air that we recognize their unique cultures, traditions, and values. Together, as treaty people, we have a shared responsibility to act with respect for the environment that sustains all life, protecting the future for those generations to come. Council, I would remind you, if you have a pecuniary interest, to please declare it at the appropriate time. Council, let's go to item number 4 on the agenda, delegations. First of all, I'd like to welcome Susan Mills from Huron Shores Area Transit for your presentation. Susan, it's nice to see you again and welcome back.
Thank you. I'm going to assume this is on. I don't have to press a button or anything.
I don't know.
Just give me a nod and I'll press go to the next one.
Okay. So good evening, Mayor and Council. As you know, public transit plays an important role in connecting residents to community amenities and employment and the broader community. And I'm here tonight to provide an update on the HSAT transit system, including funding, system changes, access improvements, ridership and performance, and overall financial results. And we'll finish up with some key next steps. So this is the first time this council. HSAT was launched in 2020, just in time for COVID lockdown. We were one of the pilot projects under the Ontario Community Transportation Program, and with your help, we graduated to the OTIF funding and gas tax funding. We have 2 buses. One that serves Plympton-Wyoming is our Route 1, which starts off in Sarnia and goes through to Wyoming and then up to Forest through Lambton Shores to Grand Band. The other bus actually starts in Grand Band. It goes down to London and back. And then on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, that same physical bus switches over to provide the Route 3 Blue Water route, which goes through St. Joseph's, Zurich, Hansel, Bayfield, and up to Goderich and back. So that's how we do 3 routes with 2 buses. Next slide, please. So for 2025, it was an interesting year. After all the council resolutions that we did receive, we waited with bated breath to hear from the Ontario Transit Investment Fund and to confirm how much funding would be coming from the Ontario Gas Tax for Public Transit Fund. Happily, $4.7 million over 5 years to 2030 was secured. And despite all the uncertainty, the federal government's reduction of international students, which played an important role in our ridership, the economy and the fact that we were not able to market the transit system for 8 months due to no money, everything we had was put into frontline service, we still achieved 21,028 boardings. Our fare box recovery rate is 14.7%, and that is similar to other Ontario small rural systems. So it's considered a good ratio. Next slide, please. So looking at the funding pyramid, you can see here, we have a projected $1.4 million of fare revenue over those 5 years and a projected $106,000 of advertising sales revenue, $969,000 of OTIF funding, and $969,000 of transit partner financial contribution. So an estimated $1.3 million is also from the gas tax for public transit funding. So importantly, HSAT's revenues, combined with the transit partner financial contributions, our collective population base, and ridership all contribute to qualification for gas tax funding. HSAT is affordable because the transit partners favored an integrated multi-partner transit system. the 2025-26 year, we've received $124,000 of gas tax funding. And by year 3, we expect that to be over $300,000 annually. Next slide, please. So for routes and service changes in 2025, North Middlesex withdrew transit program. This resulted in us discontinuing Route 4 on May 31st last year. And Luke and Biddulph opted not to come in. And so we ended service to them as well at the same time. However, Plympton-Wyoming came in and joined as a transit partner, which has enabled us to extend Route 1 to Wyoming by the McKay Park. And these service changes required adjustments to the schedule and other information. So we distributed a new brochure during the summer and fall, and that was done through a large mail drop to every household within a transit partner jurisdiction. So Plympton-Wyoming residents all were included in that mail drop. Next slide, please. So in July, we finally received the funding agreement from the Federal Rural Transit Solutions Fund for the purchase of bus stop infrastructure that will help increase advertising revenue and customer service. 2 new bus stops were added, one, as you know, in Wyoming, and the other one in Brucefield, which, if you didn't know, is actually on Highway 4. And after on-site inspections and discussions with our public works staff from Blue Water, South Huron, and Lambton Shores, several of our existing bus stop locations were adjusted to accommodate the new infrastructure that we're hoping to install, such as bus shelters, benches, and bike corrals. So those stops that got adjusted were in Zurich, Hensel, Exeter, Huron Park, Grand Pen, Fort Franks, Thetford, and Forest. The decision to add the Brucefield stop was based on the potential to increase ridership from communities within short drive or bike rides, such as Clinton and Van Astor. And in order to make this happen, we reduced the Bayfield stops from 2 to 1. So we had quite a few adjustments in 2025. Next slide, please. So ridership and service performance. Overall for 2025, as I mentioned, we had 21,028 boardings. This is an overall system decrease of 17.8% compared to 2024. And this was driven almost entirely by external factors. Route 1, which runs between Sarnia and Grand Band, remains the busiest route, but it suffered a 26% drop relative to 2024. And this is entirely due to the reduction of international students at Lambton College. And it didn't help that Voyago forgot to record 3 months of ridership. So Route 2 that runs between London and Grand Band remained steady, and Route 3 saw a slight increase in boardings. The Route 2, we put on a seasonal express bus for Route 2, which was nicknamed the Beach Bus, and it increased its ridership again for the 3rd year in a row. So due to operational changes made by Voyago, our contract provider, the number of what we call stranded passengers due to broken down buses was reduced. As well, they were able to provide a seasonal express bus on Route 1 much earlier in the spring season, beginning mid-May. And combined, these actions provided substantial service cost savings by reducing our reliance on taxis from $50,000 to $4,900. Average monthly ridership is 1,752 boardings, and boardings per hour is a respectable 3.7 if we don't include Route 3 going through Blue Water. Typically, small rural systems range between 4 to 6 boardings per hour for a mature system. At this point, HSAT still has not attained, we're still growing. We still haven't attained our 35,000 ridership threshold that's predicted by the transit consultant who did our feasibility study that he states would be where our sustainability level would be. In other words, we're still building the system, but we have already obtained a mid-range boardings per hour of an established system. So fares and discounts. Work done The OTIF grant application included a fair review of other small rural systems in the Southwest Community Transit Group, which includes Perth County Connect, Middlesex Connect, Norfolk County, and Bruce Grey County. In comparison, HSAT's cash fares were on par, but our monthly pass remained underpriced. So new fares were implemented in August of 2025, with a local trip now costing $6, long distance $12, and a regional trip $20. So a regional trip being travel from, say, Goderich down to Sarnia or London or Sarnia up to Goderich. Also, as part of the OTIF application, we needed to indicate how we would address economic inequality. So in August, we implemented several new discounts, including a CNIB card holder, income-related, and seniors veterans. This means CNIB card holders can travel for free. Those with proven low-income status can receive a 95% fare discount, and seniors and veterans get a 20% discount. These special discounts are all managed through the Smart Card system, and passengers interested in the low-income and seniors veterans discounts must live in the jurisdiction of a transit partner to qualify. And there's also an application process. So in other words, we do not extend those discounts to somebody living in London. Those are only for our residents. Next slide, please. In September 2023, we applied for and were successful in getting a Federal Rural Transit Solutions Fund for $299,000. And the plan is to use this money to install bus stop shelters with advertising panels, add benches and bike corrals, increasing not just our customer service, but our ability to generate advertising revenue. However, the combination of a 2-year delay between the application and the signed funding agreement with the federal government, inflation and product pricing increases, not to mention some tariff, have reduced the funding's buying power. As a result, we have been forced to reduce the number of bus stops being upgraded from 23 to 13. We do have a plan to address that, and we are registered with Metrolinx's procurement program. So our transit system will be one of quite a few that will be involved in making, in a sense, a mass purchase from a selected vendor or vendors through that program. And up until the point that we decide to buy, we can still change our minds if that particular vendor doesn't quite service our needs. But we are hoping that that's going to give us some significant money savings to make our dollars go as far as they can. Next slide, please. So relatively speaking, our fare revenue did increase in 2025 despite lower ridership. Obviously, that was related to the fare increases that we took, especially the fare increase we did on the monthly pass, which still has an effect of decreasing the system's overall average fare because it continues to be underpriced. So there will be another price increase this year as we try and bring it up to where it should be. Initially, when it was launched very low. That was before my time. And since that time, we've been trying to bring it up, and you can only do that in sort of steps and increments. You can't do that overnight. However, our financial performance does remain strong, and we do expect that to continue as ridership increases as well. So you can see from the chart there that in 2025, we had a revenue of 136,000, almost 137, relative to our operating cost of 930,000. Next slide, please. So overall, as I mentioned before, the recovery ratio was 14.7, and that is in line with small rural systems like us. As a recipient of the gas tax funding, we are now required to report our results to the Canadian Urban Transit Association, otherwise known as CUTA. They collect all of the transit agency statistics on behalf of MTO. So they're contracted to do that work. They use province-wide standardized formulas for determining fare box recovery ratios, subsidy levels, and the average cost and fare per ride. And as a result, previous years' calculations that we've shared with our transit partners had to be recalculated and are included in Appendix B of the annual report. So any stat you'll need from 2020 up to 2025 is actually included in there. The big news is that HSAT's performance indicators are all within the expected normal range for a small rural transit system. As you can see, we have an 85% subsidy level. Our average fare at this point is $6.50. Our transit consultant who did the feasibility study was recommending $7, so we're not far off from that level. And our average cost per ride is $44.24. So looking forward to next year. With long-term funding now confirmed through 2030, the focus is going to be on improving our service delivery, completing our infrastructure upgrades, and strengthening our financial sustainability. Completion of the bus stop infrastructure and advertising sales revenue go hand in hand. We will negotiate a new contract with Voyago that will carry through to 2030. Our 8-month absence of marketing has now been addressed. We do need to make up for lost ground, but our marketing focus is hyper-local. We use print, web, social media, and outreach activities. For this area of our service area, I place advertising with the Independent and the Sydenham Current. And if there's any other media that you know of that we should be considering, I'd like to hear about it. The largest project will be the transition of Blue Water's Route 3 from what is now a fixed route to on-demand. A business case is close to completion and will be presented to all transit partners for review, consideration, and selection of preferred option or options to then present to Blue Water's residents before leading into implementation. And the goal is to complete this work in 2026 and to build Blue Water's ridership up into the thousands. Their ridership has been, I think, artificially suppressed because we were only able to service them on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday afternoons versus Route 1 and 2, where that's daily service every day, year-round, except for Christmas Day, New Year's Day, and Good Friday. So a lot of transit systems provide service on stat holidays. We do. The on-demand project aims to increase our transit frequency and coverage while maintaining the current budget. And that's all I have. Open to some questions.
Well, thank you, Ms. Mills, for that presentation. First of all, before I go to council, I want to say thank you to your company for the service that they're offering our residents. I've heard a lot of good things about it. People are very appreciative of it because there's a certain factor that's unable to have their own transportation, and you do fill that niche as well. And your fees for those that are in need is very special. Thank you for doing it. We appreciate that.
Well, that's why we exist.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, council, any questions to my left? Councillor Wobett.
In the Kamlaki area, basically, if you look at your map, there's no pickups out there whatsoever. We've discussed it here. This isn't anything new, but that's where the majority of our population is. A lot of new home subdivisions and stuff. So we are certainly in need of a pickup point out in that Kamlaki area. Have you considered that at all?
It's been considered. I mean, we don't have the capacity to respond to that at the moment. We have 2 buses, and the trip from Sarnia to Grand Band already takes 1 hour and 50 minutes just to do one leg, and then it turns around and it's an hour and 50 minutes all the way back. So it is a very long trip. And there's people from centers, they kind of gasp. They're like, I don't know, 50 minutes. Like they wouldn't. Yeah. But I mean, we have distances that we need to deal with. I don't know if it's like premature to say anything, Adam, but we've been discussing. I do know that Jason Cole from the county level put in for money to do a feasibility study to extend public transit to other areas of the county. And in a sense, we've both been chasing him to, because I know he got the money. And we want to get that RFP out to a consultant and get that research going. In the event that he's maybe taking a little too long for our liking, we can certainly start some benchmark research with the Kamlaki residents. We need to answer some very basic questions like, where do you want to go? How often do you want to go there? What are you going to use transit for? I can't even get a quote. Like I couldn't even provide you with a ballpark quote without being able to answer those basic questions to Voyago. Like they'll need to know that. So we can start a survey, we can do some public meetings, gather in some research and provide that data at least to inform Voyago a little better in terms of what we might be looking for. And as well, under the OTIF, because right now there isn't a service there, this would be considered an expansion. We would be able to put in a grant application specific to that expansion. So that would then cover 50% of the project costs. So that makes a big difference because if I come to you and say, yes, we can provide that, it's going to need a new bus and we're going to need 3 bus drivers and it's going to cost $100,000 a year. If 50,000 of that is covered by the province, that makes a big difference.
Well, you would have had to ask those same questions here for just Wyoming, with a lot less population here than what's north of here.
Well, we slipped Wyoming in
Yeah.
because when we looked at Route 1, we're like, well, we're coming across the 402 anyway, and then we're going up to Forest. So if we're going to Wyoming, we can make that happen. We did lose a bus stop in Sarnia to make that happen because there's literally a limit really to how many bus stops you can have on a single route. And Voyago was like, oh my God, you can't add another bus stop. I'm like, okay, but we're going to lose one. We're going to lose one in Sarnia. We're going to gain one. So, it should balance out. But yeah, it was because I think it was the timing. And I know that there had been conversations previously that Plympton-Wyoming was interested in coming in on the transit, that we were able to make that happen. But Kamlaki does represent an entirely different route, because it goes along the lakeshore. And we actually don't. That our bus, when it leaves Sarnia, it comes in, and before the first stop was actually Forest. So it's coming in quite a way inland, away from, the lake side of this area.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Van Clever, anything for you?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very good presentation. Appreciate all those data and the bus shelters that you're hoping to get and plant and advertise and generate income from. Would they also have like bus routes on there too? Like make it very clear what our patrons here in town, if they would see a bus shelter, that they would automatically assume there's a bus and they would automatically be able to determine where it takes them and when?
Yes, we can. Right now, I mean, Wyoming is kind of on the list of, we think we can provide a bus shelter, because when the application was put in 2023, there was only, Blue Water, Lambton Shores, and South Huron and North Middlesex, right? And so, with the new addition of the Wyoming bus stop, it's going to be, that's what we're hoping to achieve out of the Metrolinx procurement program, that we'll be able to bump up that money and get a new transit shelter that way, or that the cost is so reduced that the money can come from somewhere to make that happen. The bus stop the bus shelter, when it's installed, would come with its own solar lighting unit, so there wouldn't be any additional wiring required. And it also has its own little bench inside as well. So it will have an advertising panel, but an additional panel can be added that a big map could be put there. When we were working with North Middlesex residents, they had asked it would be nice to pick up a brochure at the bus stop. That is a much simpler kind of a solution in that respect, because you just need a sort of a little brochure kind of container strapped to a bus stop or a lamppost with the brochures in it. I mean, obviously somebody needs to fill it, but sort of that's the poor man's version of it.
In theory, that could be done now, even.
Yeah.
without the shelf. That'd be great. Coffee Time News is a pretty good print advertising.
Locally,
Yep.
okay,
It's a thought, yeah.
I will keep that in mind.
We do have brochures available here at the municipal office as well.
Oh, super.
We also, just so you know, your library has a special library smart card. So residents can go in and borrow it for up to 5 days and try the transit system for free. And it provides unlimited travel in those 5 days. Now they have to return it and it's not renewable, but they actually get to try us for free first.
Interesting. Thank you.
Council Deputy?
Yeah, really interesting presentation. I think you need to raise your rates. However, because yeah, I don't know how long this is gonna go and be subsidized so much, you know, anyway. It was a very good presentation and I've made my point. Also, first Monday is a good paper to advertise in probably.
First Monday?
Yeah, yeah, which is, it's done right here in Wyoming. Chris Cook is the owner, editor, manager, whatever else he does.
That would be at Sharon Webb, south end of town.
Okay. Making a note of that.
Council Bolton?
Nothing for me. Thanks, Susan.
Okay, thanks, Alex.
Council Brady?
Nothing for me. Thank you.
Council Rodriguez?
All right, yes, thank you. On the Trails Committee, we did get a presentation. I'm trying to remember if it was you.
Probably. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was a couple years back. I agree with Councillor Wovet. It would be nice to see what the actual, if there is actual need or interest along that lakeshore route. Lots of hamlets there, lots of opportunity, and the whole aging in place for older residents of the community, but also for students to be able to maybe work in Grand Bend some time or in Brights Grove or Sarnia. So I see a lot of opportunity there, but is anybody even interested? I guess that question, like you're saying, those things need to be answered. And then these brochures, are they at the health center as well?
Don't personally know that.
So that might be an idea to put some there.
At the Wellness Center. Ms. Dale?
Sorry to add to that, you should also look at the Forest Community Health Center and the Central
Yes.
Council for brochures.
Perfect.
Because we're always posting advertisements.
They should have some. They should have some. They're on my regular.
At Central Lambton.
Yes, they got some, and I think the distribution.
Okay,
So they should have some too.
okay.
I also distributed to the seniors residents next to the park,
Perfect.
several doctors' offices. And yeah, there was quite a few. I also sent them to the Legion as well, just so they could spread around. But
Yeah.
if there are, locations that you can think
you
of,
have some?
we're definitely open to sharing those brochures as far and wide as we can get them.
There's also the Lions Club and
Yeah.
I just added them.
Great. Thank you very much. Well, Mills, thank you again for your presentation. We do appreciate it. Thank you to your organization for what you do.
Welcome. And I'm only just an email and phone call away. So you are a transit partner. So in a sense, I am your transit coordinator. So feel free to contact me with any questions after the fact.
Thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, our second presentation this evening, Misty Dale. Crosswalk request, Misty.
I just got a couple people, they're coming in, they're not gonna say anything, but just kind of for numbers.
Leave the little guy if you want.
He did pretty good, hey?
Just said chip leave.
So thank you for having me. My name, I am, I don't know, I guess the president of parent council. I kind of just say representative. We're here on behalf of Arrow Village School. Just some of our friends. To be honest, I kept the numbers pretty small because when you get Arrow Village involved, we could have a whole bunch of people here. So I'm trying to have a few people to show support. The biggest thing when I took over parent council, so actually like your honorable mayor, members, actually for having me here. The biggest concern that we had was safety. We have a lot of students that are walking to and from the school. And as you know, the community is just growing, right? So there's more cars, there's more people, more safety concerns. So we actually did kind of a survey to the school to see where the actual safety concerns were before I even actually met with the town to get information. We did kind of a 5 survey question, but the ones that are the most relevant are we asked how safe people felt when they were walking to school, and 40% of the parents. So we actually had 72 families respond out of 171. So actually pretty good numbers for responding. Just sent out an email and most of the parents were really good. About 40% of them said that they felt very unsafe with their children walking from home. A lot of that is we are always teaching our kids, right? Look before you cross the road, stop at the stop signs. There are some kids, they're excited, they see their friend, they run across the road, right? But we're noticing a huge increase in traffic. Actually, my friend that was just here that had to leave, she lives right on the corner. And almost every day when we're hanging out playing, there's someone rolling through that stop sign, not stopping at all. People cutting people off in trucks and stuff like that. So that's kind of where that number came from. And again, with that, we also asked how often they see people speeding, so just walking themselves. So this is just data from parents. This is not OPP data or anything. It's just the community coming to the school. 36% of the respondents answered they always feel it's unsafe, and 32% said that they often feel unsafe due to like speeding, ignoring traffic signs, blowing traffic signs, and accelerating actually right in front of the school is a really, really big one too. These results demonstrate that an unsafe driving behaviors are not isolated incidents, but ongoing concerns witnessed regularly by families in our area. And then we did ask a question of how we felt families could be heard in terms of safety. So the first concern we had was actually trying to put a crosswalk at King and Egremont. And then I actually met with Paul to learn kind of a little bit more about the Highway Traffic Act. Realized that we couldn't do that because of the Highway Traffic Act. So then we kind of met again to figure out what we could do within the Highway Traffic Act. So we kind of have 3 proposals roughly to start with. So we're requesting, instead of having a crosswalk at Old Mill or at King Street and Egremont, because it is a controlled stop, we're requesting that we have a crosswalk at Old Mill and Egremont, because right now there is no crosswalk, there's no lights. And that is actually another one on one of our surveys. That was a big intersection where people were complaining about. And that one actually was more people outside of school hours had more concerns than with school walking. It was people, the kids are playing at 6 o'clock at night, coming around that bend, it's hard to be seen. And then we were proposing a second crosswalk at the easement that would be at Egremont Road and the new Trails Edge subdivision. So there's that easement running there. It's actually right across from the school. And what I have been told from the school board, who was the original one that started this directive, is that once that easement is done, so once the Trails Edge subdivision is completed, we are losing a bus. So all of those kids in Trails Edge and Arrow Woods will be designated as walkers. So that's going to be a whole nother population that we have walking. So that's why we're asking for the second one there. And if we can do one, if we can only do one, Trails Edge is the most important one, but we are trying for 2. The second request we have is adding in flashing lights to the existing stop signs that are already at King and Egremont, as well as Fleming and Egremont. Not necessarily like the big flashy ones, but just the red ones that would go on top of the stop signs, just to help reinforce that it's a stop sign and that it's not, it is a slow area. The third request we have is right now we do currently have a community safety zone from about Fleming and Egremont to Dalrymple. We're asking to actually extend that community safety zone from the other side of Fleming because if we want to encompass the sidewalk all the way to past the bend on Egremont. That would encompass both crosswalks being in that community safety zone. And that will hopefully help if it's spread further out. People are getting the crosswalks, they're seeing the stop signs, but also the penalties for speeding are, it's a further range for them. And then basically, yeah, just recognizing and appreciate the work that you guys have done, just even letting me come to start the process tonight. We very much appreciate it. We know that our community is growing, so we're just trying to address it now before it becomes quite the issue. And I just want to say thank you for having me.
Okay, well, thank you, Ms. Dale. That's a great presentation, and I think you brought up some very valued points. Mr. Silva, I know you've talked to Ms. Dale. Have you, I'll go to council first and I'll come back to you if you're okay with that. Or do you have something you want to add to that?
No, I'm ready for questions.
Okay. To my right, any questions? Councillor Bulgin?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I completely agree with the concerns that are being presented. I think you also noticed a significant increase in speed as soon as Fleming got paved. Because a lot of that traffic stopped going to O'Brien and started going that way. And like you said, especially once Errol Woods is walking and all those kids are walking, it's going to change it as well. We can do everything we can. People are still going to blow through those crosswalks, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't try. So I guess my question for Paul is there a plan to kind of bring back? I know we've looked at speed control in the hamlet specifically, but we haven't necessarily looked at in front of the school. So is there a plan to bring back costs of what some of these options look like, timelines, and what we can do?
Yeah. So through Your Worship, that was going to be my suggestion, is this get referred to staff for a report, comprehensive report on what we can and cannot do, and we can bring back some options, some costs, because obviously these things aren't included in the budget this year, so it'd have to be considered, the following year. So we can there's criteria that we follow for doing these types of investigations, warrants and justifications. That doesn't mean that council can't act based on that data, but we would like to provide you guys with all the information that you possibly need to make those decisions. So we would look to do that, within the next month. Before the school ends. Obviously, we need to collect that data while the kids are present, as well as some speed data as well.
And then my last thing is, I think a low hanging fruit could definitely be extending the community safety zone area and then relying on OPP to do some enforcement in the meantime. Thank you. And thank you for the presentation.
Anything from you?
Yes, thank you. I agree 100% with Alex here that simplest thing for us right now is just to extend the safety zone. And then OPP, that if they're blowing through the stop signs, I don't see where flashing lights gonna stop that, because I guarantee when you find who's going through the stop signs, it's the locals.
Oh, hands down.
Right, it's your people that know it's there anyway, so putting a flashing light, if they're gonna roll through it, they're gonna roll through it. But I would, yeah, let's see what we can do. I can't see putting 3 crosswalks all the way down that road and that close. It's just gonna be a disaster.
Well, I think when we space it out, I think we could only put 2 because of the highway traffic tax. So there was like
There'd just be a,
so that's why we had kind of changed
like Vegas going through there.
and then the easement so that it wasn't too congested and then we didn't have to.
But yeah, I'd be in favor of that. I doubt you'll get the speed bumps, because I think we've tried that somewhere else, and snow plows and all that.
Well, and I don't know how much the buses would like speed bump.
Yeah. But yeah, very good, good to bring it to our attention, because I was by there Monday, right at 8:30, so it was good to see that, open my eyes to it, because I don't live out there, so.
Well, and we do have usually the first week of the school, OPP will come out and just sit and kind of market a few houses. And 2 years ago, they actually issued, I think, 7 warnings and 2 tickets, and one was a person on a bike.
Yeah.
Don't know how that outcome, what that one was, but yeah, so usually the first week of school, we just usually know connections and we just ask them to come for the first week of school, just being out for summer, they're not used to the kids. So the OPP is pretty good that way at coming. If I'm like, hey, can you guys come? They're pretty good about coming, at least the first, well, if, you know, if they're not busy, and then obviously if they are, they have to leave.
Perfect. And like I say, we've been talking to them and other stuff, so even if they're just sitting right at the school, just
Yeah.
the fact that there's a black and white sitting there.
Where they get most people is actually sitting on King Street, because that's the stop sign that they blow through.
There you go. Okay, thank you very much. And good information.
Okay, Councillor Rodriguez.
Yes, thank you. Great presentation. And it takes this to get movement, right? So, and it's a need. This is our school system. These are our children in the community, and anything we can do to make them safe. So I look forward to seeing a report come back. If we need to, we need to. We want the kids to be able to go to school safely. You said you were the head of school parent council. Yes, Misty.
I don't know what my official title is.
Yeah, I know.
So I usually just say I'm the head or the representative.
Yeah. Would it be possible to also maybe with your council to maybe look at doing some sort of information pamphlet to all the parents as well? To say, hey, you know, reminder, this is our kids' community, and let's all take the time, you know, something positive and
And we did actually,
messaging, right?
we actually had the OPP come out and do
Oh.
the bike safe program, but a walk safe program this year as well. So that's the first year we've had them do the walking. And that was a parent actually suggested that. And so they came out in, I think, October, and then not only did bike safety, but they also did walking safety to kind of reinforce you do have to be aware of your surroundings.
Oh, that's for the children.
Yeah.
I'm talking about one for the parents.
For that's in.
Yeah.
Our principal sends it out to our families.
Oh, that's awesome. I just think that would help too, to be in a cooperative effort to help keep this a safe area.
And on that note too, I didn't actually put this out to the community. It only stayed in with the school right now. So just be aware of that, like people on like Dalrymple might not know about this unless their kids are at the school.
Right.
So I
Okay.
started with the school, because I figured involving most of Kamlaki is gonna be more than my 15 minutes.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Deputy?
Yeah, I look forward to staff's report. And is it part of the traffic act though to, or can council just go ahead and extend that designation, that safety zone?
Yep, through your worship, council can extend a community safety zone, yeah. I'd have to look up the exact, like, there's recommendations in the Ontario traffic manuals and stuff like that as to where they should be and how much of a span they should be, but I could reference that in my report.
Yeah, and you can't put stop signs every 50 feet, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Usually those are done by bylaw too, so the bylaw would have.
Oh, okay, thanks. Look forward to your report, Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks very much, Misty. Is there any committee you're not part of?
I'm finding less and less to.
It's focusing on the board, yeah. Is there any chance that the school board would put out another questionnaire?
For sure.
This is probably, would there be 300 families that?
So total families, I think we have 172 or 178.
Yeah, okay.
5 students, but we just lost them, so I don't know the exact
Okay,
numbers.
okay. I just wondered if there'd be just a little bit more connection and turnaround there with participants if it's a school board ran for that.
So I did ask the school board and they were the ones that said they would support it, but the initiative has to kind of come from us. And then working with the town, so they said like they can give recommendations, but it has to come from like the township in terms of this, like the stop signs, all of that stuff. But the school board did say, they were the ones that said to come here and start this process. But sending out an email and asking for more support and more awareness, that's very easy. I can definitely do that. And our principal's amazing. Like I could literally text him after this meeting. We'd write an email and he'd send it out tomorrow.
Well, I think you've got it covered, so we'll look forward to that report. Thank you.
What about anything?
Yeah, thank you. Very legitimate request. I used to live out there on King Street and there certainly wasn't the population there when I was out there. So things have grown big time. And we're behind the times here for that school zone. It isn't that many years ago, they were gonna close that school. Not that many years ago. Now they're expanding it and expanding it. And we're behind the times on safety, crosswalks and stuff like that. So very legitimate. We'll leave it with Paul to come back with something for us here. And in the meantime, the community safety zone, yeah, we should move ahead with that, in my opinion. And quite often these community safety zones, oh, you know who that catches, don't you? It's usually the people in the area. So just so you're aware of that, but very legit. And we've made moves right here in Wyoming with crosswalks, Confederation line. We've put in a flashing light by the Catholic school down there in Confed. I think not a very expensive light. It's not like there's big stoplights and stuff like that. So there's things that can be done. So we'll leave it with Paul and see what we can do.
Yeah, and this one was a question there, but the general feedback from parents is we didn't want the big, huge over lines. Kind of more to flow with the aesthetic of the school and the community. So yeah, we didn't want the not like the ones that they have in Petrolia, right, where they're up high and cross. Necessarily weren't quite that big, just something enough to draw a little bit of attention to it.
So is it busy enough there to consider a crossing guard anywhere yet?
So I asked the school board that, and they actually said they're trying to go away from crossing guards. It's a couple of reasons. They said one is if someone calls in sick and the kids are used to a crossing guard being there and they can't fill the shift. Now you've got kids crossing the street without the crossing guard was the first response from the school board. And then the other thing they said too is it's kind of getting more into liability, whereas if they have a crosswalk, it's not as much liability. And then unofficially, they did say emotionally it's pretty hard on the crossing guards if something does happen. But that was an unofficial, but the main reason is that they just don't have enough of them. So crosswalks they're finding are a little bit more effective because kids can be more aware, taught how to use them. And then they're not relying if the crossing guard's not there, they're not just running across the street going, oh, there's no one here, what do I do?
Sometimes, this is just my opinion, but I've seen it happen, and it's pretty dangerous, but sometimes these flashing lights, kids will run up, push the button, then they think they can just go to, if they have no adults with them.
Be something, once we put it in, we will make sure that we're having the education coming from the school so that they realize that it's a change and how to properly use it.
Thanks for your presentation.
All right, thank you, Councillor. One last question, Councillor Rodriguez, then we'll move along.
Yes, the question is for Paul, when you're going back and looking, we were at a conference a couple years back and they were doing a crosswalk thing. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
It was motion activated, so you didn't have to press buttons or something. So it was pretty cool. It had a camera on it. It was really neat. If we can look into that. That wasn't a really big descriptive to help you, but maybe I'll Google and see what I can find.
Be significantly more expensive than this.
Oh, no, it wasn't expensive at all. And it was actually portable. It's a portable one.
Meet the highway traffic.
Wow, that's clearly.
Oh, yeah, the coons.
Yeah, set that up.
No.
Well, Mr. Dale, thank you. Mr.
Through your worship, I just, in terms of timelines, we'll probably, just so everyone's on the same page, we'll probably collect some data in June while the kids are still present. And then write the report through July, probably get back late July, early August, if that's okay with everyone.
Yeah, that's perfect.
At least we'll have the wheels in motion.
And that was, I know this isn't going to be a fast process, so that's why if we can at least start it, get questions, get stuff going, figuring out what we can and can't do. That's not gonna be put up tomorrow, and that's fine.
Good. All right, thank you very much.
Do I have to stay for the other part for the request of?
Oh, you'd like to.
Well, just making sure that I don't, if I leave, it's okay.
On to what to do which, Misty.
It's 10.1 or 10.2 or something like that. It's a request for Arrow Village grad to waive the fee.
Oh. I'm suspecting you might be okay.
Okay, perfect. Well,
I
thank
think
you.
you got a little one that probably is hungry.
He's a little buddy. Well, thank you for having me and
Thank you.
Thank you for all that you do. We do appreciate that.
enjoy your summer.
Thank you, you too.
All right, council, let's kick it in. We've got a full night ahead. Business arising from the Previous meeting, clerk, nothing's been added since then.
Nothing's been added, your worship.
All right, thank you. Let's go to 6.1. Motion by Councillor Basie, seconded by Councillor Bojan, that the minutes be adopted by council. Those confidential minutes of the closed sessions of council remain confidential and restricted from public disclosure in accordance with the exemptions provided in the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. That would be the May 13th, 2026 regular council meeting minutes, as well as the regular council meeting minutes. The closed council meeting minutes of the same date, May the 13th. Council, you've had an opportunity to review them. Are there any questions? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, 6.2. I have a motion by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Councillor Wolvette, that the minutes be adopted by council and those confidential minutes of the closed sessions remain confidential and restricted from public disclosure in accordance with the exemptions provided in the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. That would be the April the 9th, 2026 Cemetery Committee meeting minutes. We have Chair Wolvette from that committee here if there's any questions. Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? That's carried. Okay, 6.3, Councillor's report. Deputy.
We'll go through that quickly, right, Mr. Robeck? What did you do this?
Not very quickly, but let me see if I got anything first. My computer
Okay, well,
didn't.
while we're waiting for you.
Go to somebody else
Go to
first.
Mr.
please.
Van Claveren.
Thank you.
I'll jump in. I have nothing to report.
Good boy. Mr. Belgian.
Just really quickly, the events committee rescheduled their Picking in the Park event. It's this Saturday from 11 to 3.
Was a little rainy.
It was a little rainy last night. They made the right call.
Yeah. Mr. Basie.
Parks and Rec last week, nothing startling. We did pick a location for the tennis court, or sorry, the basketball court, which will be coming to you guys, I believe, next council meeting. Monday went for a parks tour with the Geo Research Group representative. What do you call the squares?
QR code.
QR code where you can take a picture of the shoreline. So she was very impressed with our parks and will get us presentation costs and all that kind of stuff probably in the fall.
What exactly is that going to prove?
It saves them sending out scientists to do the research. They can have the same picture from
Okay.
5 years taken from the same location that you took one. And then 2 years later, John took one, and they can compare it all
Okay.
without, like I say, actually sending people out. So it's
So we will be the scientists.
yes, yeah. So it's just people that are at the beach taking pictures, and you download it to the QR code and off it goes. So she'll send us the whole presentation once she gets it done. That's all I had. Thank you.
Mr. Brown, you?
I was at a trail summit. Mr. Spick was there as well. Last week. So there was a lot of presentations from the municipal world, and there were a lot of representatives from all the different trail committees throughout Plympton County. In particular, the one presentation was most impressive because it really caught the essence of why we were there, more so than any others. And that was from, I believe her name was Marianne, the Great Lakes Trail group. So the provincial wide one. So she was, she had quite a story about Plympton-Wyoming too. In her, yeah, no.
No?
So.
Okay, thanks. That's the end of your scene.
I feel the need to give history on that one. Back in the day, the town of Plympton-Wyoming would not endorse utilizing Eggermount Road as a safe cycling path, as we do not have paved shoulders and it's a winding road. I don't know if the safety concerns were brought to that next level committee from our representative at the time, because they just took it that it was this unconnected road. But being in Public Works, I remember council and us discussing the fact that we felt that Lakeshore Road was much safer given the paved shoulders at the time than Eggermount Road was at the time.
I'm certainly glad for your explanation.
Oh, well, I wasn't really even gonna give an explanation, so there was really, I wasn't gonna go into detail because she actually wants to come and do a delegation to council to kind of catch up to speed on stuff. So,
Renew that request for Egerman Road or to enhance other trails? You
I
don't
don't
know.
know, I think we'll leave it up to her delegation. I was just leaving up to her.
All right,
So,
okay, thank you. Mr. Wolvet.
Yeah, just a couple of short things. I'll be with the Plympton Farm Safety at Picnic in the Park on Saturday. They'll have the thing there. And Thursday, we'll be doing the tour of the cemeteries and to see if there's any complaints there.
They're probably
Bring them
pretty
back to
quiet.
council
yeah.
if we get any complaints. So
Okay,
that's all I have.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy. Just a couple, three things. First of all, this past week with Misty, doing economic development with our business people throughout Plympton-Wyoming. It's been going very successful. Secondly, I attended a WAS meeting. And the highlight was I was the guest at the Beavers, Cubs and Scouts. And when you've got those kids grilling you about the town, it's harder than all Canada. Assure you with that. They were excellent. It was just great to be with them and to interact. They've got a great group and I really admire the leaders. They do a great job. So that's all that I have. Deputy, what about you?
Well, it sounds like the leaders had those kids well trained.
They were
For your
pumped.
questions?
They were pumped. Yeah.
No, I haven't been too busy municipally wise. I did go to a meeting today for the Seniors Advisory Committee, so I'll be getting well versed in that for the seniors in our group.
He's over there.
Don't look this way.
That's about it.
All right, thank you. Okay, council, let's go to 7.1. I have a motion by Councillor Wolvet, seconded by Councillor Van Claveren, that the council remuneration claims for April 2026 be approved for payment. Any questions? All those in favor? That's carried. Staff reports 8.1. I have a motion by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen, that the report by Lisa Speakins, Deputy Clerk, dated May the 19th, 2026, regarding short-term rental application 6741 Franklin Ave be received. Council, you've had a chance to review Ms. Meekin's report. Ms. Meekins, anything to add to your report?
No, nothing to add at this time.
All right. I believe we have the applicants that are with us this evening. Thank you very much for joining with us. Is there anything that you would like to add before I go to council for questions?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. You. To my left, any questions? Councilor, do you need do you need a power for your machine or?
Yeah, anybody got one of these in their pocket?
I think I gave you the last one.
Yeah, you're dead one, half dead. Leaked acid.
I'm gonna go to my right while you're doing the maintenance.
Thank you.
There.
The mouse is-
You got a work order on that bottom.
Yeah, she'll send me a
I thought
bill,
that
I'm
was the
sure.
basement.
Councilor Bolgen, let's kick it off with you. Any questions?
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, so it's a bit of a roller coaster here with the way I read this report. So I was originally in agreement with the staff report, based on the report in the letter. Because when it comes to bylaws, I mean, if we have bylaws, we have to enforce them. To this point, there's been no notice of reconsideration or anything like that to change our bylaw. So we have a bylaw that we have to enforce. So that's kind of where I was coming from when I read this report and I read the letter. But that being said, I kind of don't understand why they aren't meeting the grandfathering reports. I mean, they have a listing on Airbnb. I was able to find it. They operated before and after we passed the bylaw from the way I see it. So they might be a little bit late to get a license, but they're here now and they're looking to comply. So I'm just not quite sure I understand why they're not meeting the grandfather requirement. When I just pulled up Airbnb and I was able to find their listing with active listings as of October 2025, as well as some before we passed the bylaw. So by all means, I'm a big bylaw guy, but I'm not sure how this doesn't meet the grandfathering requirements.
Mr. Meekins?
Through you, your worship. So, the reason this does not meet the grandfathering requirements is because there was a change of use. So the grandfathering requirements is as a short-term rental continuously. So its use was changed to a long-term rental, which is in compliance with the bylaw. So they switched to complying by no longer operating, by changing term rental. So now they want to change it back to a short-term rental. They want permission out of compliance when they previously were in compliance.
Okay, I just don't see how it, and they've been operating based on reviews on Airbnb as a short-term rental. Whether that's in compliance with our bylaw or not, I don't know how we can prove that they might not have had a license when they were supposed to, but they were operating. That's where I'm confused.
Mr. Sabansky?
Not knowing the specifics on this exact situation. In the development of the short-term rental bylaw, we consulted heavily with planning and in the planning act specifically in regard to what constitutes a use, because that's where use is under planning. And what they said is that as of the date, the use had to be unbroken. And because the use was broken, i.e. they went from a short-term rental to a long-term rental, that use ceased, and therefore it's not a pre-existing use at the time. So that's how it was explained to us by our planning staff. And because there was that broken use, the existing use ceased, therefore it's not eligible as an existing because it broke that use.
I'll leave it there for now. I'll listen for a bit.
Councillor Basin, anything from you?
Yes, I read it the opposite to the way you're reading it, that it was and then it wasn't and now it wants to be again. We put a bylaw in place. How many years did it take us to get down to where we got? 2-3 years to get a bylaw. And then I don't want to start circumventing it by, wow, it didn't quite meet it. So then we're going to allow this guy to do it. Then we're going to allow this guy to do it. So we might as well just scrap the bylaw. Which, like I said, I was in favor of what we got. But I would be against this, just for that reason. But we're now setting precedent that we're trying to skirt around the bylaw that we just finally hammered out and got one into place. So I feel for you and I understand. But like I said, our intent was to curtail it here from day one, and now we're going to start going around it. So I'd be against it.
Okay, thank you. Rodriguez?
Thank you. Yeah, I would lean on that it had a historical use. The use did change for a little bit, but I don't look at it the same way as Councillor Vasey, that the situation is different, where they're not coming to us fresh looking for one. It has a history of that use, and I remember going through all that process, and there were several different examples provided to us about how if they have this history and then they stop for different reasons, doesn't necessarily permanently remove them from from what their use was. There's many different things that can cause them to stop or pivot temporarily and then pivot back. And I don't think there's a big time frame here, and it's the same owners. So I see the circumstances a little bit different in reading the bylaw, and this is not a new use they're asking for.
Through you, your worship, I just want to make a comment from a planning aspect. So for used to be legal non-conforming, it is allowed to have temporary pauses in the use. However, it is not allowed to change the use. So if someone were to operate a short-term rental and then pause for a period of time to do a renovation, or if there was something that happened like the COVID pandemic and people weren't able to operate in that time, It does accommodate for pauses such as those things, as long as the use isn't changed during that time. So this is a different situation because the use was changed. So if the property was vacant while it's being renovated, that's different. No new use was introduced. But in this case, a new use was introduced. It was switched to a long-term rental, which is fully in compliance with our bylaw. And therefore granting this would be allowing them to return to non-compliance, but they are not grandfathered in as legal non-compliant because they were compliant with the bylaw when it was passed.
Thank you. All right, Councillor Wolvet, we'll come back to you now.
Well, I think in this situation, it was a new bylaw, quite a short period of time. I think we're being too strict on it. And I think they should get their license. I think it's just, yeah, we got a new bylaw for sure. But this here pause, not pause, for a period of time. They're here asking, they're here explaining. So I don't think we should complicate this particular situation. Not the first time that we've made decisions on bylaws that exist. And so this isn't any difference, in my opinion, to grant them their license. So, all right.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Van Cleven.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think the core to this issue is the bylaw itself. I think we're getting in the weeds when we start discussing the fine words or terminology, or it was in use and it wasn't, and then they changed the use, and then it went to short and long term because of COVID, and that just makes it complicated. This bylaw, because of a few complaints, was instituted out of fear, and I don't like it. And I think fine people like this should be able to operate a great little enterprise. And because we're gonna run into more situations, the same but different. Obviously, the situation will change a little bit, but vary somewhat, but the core is this bylaw. If there's complaints, let people complain and have the bylaw officer come in and fine them. So you're not penalizing everybody. All these little enterprises, you're now penalizing them, you're not allowing them to flourish, bring hundreds of thousands into our community. And we're gonna get caught up in other instances like this as we move forward. And then there's all the ones that are running underground that we don't know anything about. We won't know anything about. We won't be able to police them anyways. So that's my big concern.
Thank you. Deputy?
Won't plead innocent. Really, like, it's explained very well in your report, Ms. Meekins. And I agree with you, you're very nice people, but what's the sense of having a bylaw if you're not gonna follow it? So, yeah. We have to go by the recommendation of staff this time. Because 100 years ago, it was explained to me, if a use stops, so it doesn't exist anymore, it stops. Whether it's a day or so, and that's what this appears to be for me. So I'm going with my learning process of quite a while ago and go along with the staff report. Sorry. I think you're nice people too, but.
Mr. Mansky?
So I'm very, as we had in the past with SDRs, I'm hearing a very somewhat divided council with not a lot of consensus. As the recommendation sits today, and the clerk can correct me if I'm wrong, it only receives the report. So my suggestion would be that council, instead of amending the motion or anything else, would just be to receive the report. If one of the councillors, after the report has been received, would like to see the application approved, they can put that motion on the floor. That assists with not having to amend a motion and necessarily find new motioners if the previous motioners do not agree to that amendment. So my suggestion would be to receive the report and then allow for someone to put a motion on the floor to accept it if they so choose and someone seconds it.
Yes, you, then Councillor Bozian.
Why is it being brought to us this way? And to be received? Why is it being brought that way?
Ms. Makins?
When the bylaw for short-term rentals was passed in April of last year, there was a clause included that council would like to see any application that was received a year after the date. In relation to pre-existing, short-term rentals. This application, they did try and submit it prior to that date. Well, before that date, they did contact me in the fall. However, I had to deny it at the time based on the bylaw. I can only approve what's in the bylaw. The bylaw said I could not approve it, so I had to deny it. I told them at the time, if they wish, they could come before council. And their only option was after a year after the passing of the bylaw to have it discussed now, as they were they did have a pre-existing use, but then they ceased it. So I was not able to issue them a license based on the bylaw that was before me. So then they waited until they had a chance to come to council, and that's why it's before you now.
So to paraphrase that, staff were not willing to put a motion on the floor that went against the bylaw that we were directed to enforce. That's why it's received. If a council wants to put a motion on the floor that provides relief from the bylaw as passed, then that's council's prerogative to do so.
Councillor Bozian?
Thank you. And it's kind of where I was going because, I mean, not this specific example specifically, but based on that description that I got from planning folks, that it doesn't meet the grandfathering rule, it doesn't meet the grandfathering rule. So, I mean, council can't even, we shouldn't even be allowed to pass motions that go against our own bylaws. So I don't even think these should be coming to council because as of right now, there's a bylaw. And if experts, AKA planning folks, say it doesn't meet the definition that is in that bylaw, then there's nothing we can do either without a notice of reconsideration. And I fear that this conversation is going to keep happening over and over again as these keep coming back to us. And we can't discuss that bylaw and change it without a reconsideration. So that might be something that someone can try to put forward after. But as of right now, I don't see how we can even pass a motion that goes directly against our bylaw, because now it opens up the can for every single bylaw we have. And it's just the unfortunate reality right now, regardless of the application we have in front of us.
Clerk?
Thank you, Your Worship. I think we wouldn't be council wouldn't necessarily be going against our bylaw because there is a provision in there allowing council to issue the license. There's a section right in there that says that after this time period, council decides on the decision of the license rather than staff. So we're not really going against it. I see what you mean about going against continuous use versus like switching between long and short term, but Lisa's pulling it up here. Legal did recommend this was the best way to have the option for council to make that decision. So yeah.
It provides the authority for council to go against the bylaw, which they passed.
But isn't that just if we want to disagree on this definition of if it's grandfather or not?
Any of those applications that be approved under that would not meet the grandfathering, otherwise they would be issued a permit. I just think you're still going against your bylaw.
Mr. and Mrs. Mason, I have a question for you. Like when you bought this property, was it in your family's beforehand and it was?
It was my grandma's.
Okay.
Yes.
It was a short-term rental before?
No.
It was her own.
We owned it. Yeah. The only reason we did the short-term rental was to offset some of the costs to pay double mortgage, and we wanted to keep it in the family. So we used it a lot, but then we also had other people coming in, just little amounts. I could count on my hands how many times we had people come in. And then COVID, and then I got hurt, and then we had a long-term renter in, and then I got better. We regained access of it completely, and then we started to do short-term again all last summer. Yeah, and then we got the note that we had to apply for a license. So we just kind of were following the steps that we thought we had to do, not knowing that any of this was going to hurt us in the end, I guess.
Okay, that answers some of my questions.
If you guys have any more questions, sorry, we didn't want to like make the letter super long and give you our life story. Thought we had the details in there that you needed.
First of all, we're glad that you're better.
Yeah, thank you. So am I.
Most
Thank
important.
you.
Any questions, Council?
Just a comment from what the clerk said. So the bylaw itself allows it to come back to this table. I just want to make that clear. It says it very clearly. It's allowed to come back here and for us to be able to make the decision. Am I clear on what you were saying? So to be clear with the conversation I hear across, yeah, we're not going against the bylaw or changing the bylaw. It's in by design, it's being put back to us to make a final decision.
Well, you have to bring it back, correct? So
Yeah, like we are right now.
We are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Councilor Bojan?
Thank you. I don't want to keep going around in circles, but the way I'm reading this bylaw is to qualify, it has to be a grandfathered short-term rental, pre-existing, period. The way I read 5.3 is if someone applies after that 1 year, staff is no longer issuing it, council has to, but we still have to make sure it meets the requirements of what a short-term rental is in the bylaw. The way I'm reading it is that because theoretically after that 1 year, there probably shouldn't be any more pre-existing applications and staff is sending it to council. There's nowhere in 5.3 that it says we can change the definition of what a short-term rental is under this bylaw. It just says we're the ones that have to determine or agree with whether it's pre-existing or not, and everything's saying it's not. That's where I'm having a challenge here.
Yes, your worship, thank you. I agree 100% with Alex. He says it a lot more eloquently than I do, but that's the way the bylaw was written. They've admitted that it wasn't an ongoing short-term rental. So again, our hands are tied. This is the bylaw we have in front of us. If you want to change the bylaw, then change the bylaw. And then we'll spend another 2 years fighting over it again, or hopefully the new council will be fighting over what it is. Maybe some of us will be here, but like I say, it's unfortunate, but like I said before, I see it as we're going 100% against our bylaw that we put in place for this, so. That's all, thank you.
Okay, council, anything further before I call for the vote? This vote is to receive the report by Ms. Meekins, deputy.
Oops, I just want to ask, what's their next step? Like, let's say we refuse this, okay? What can they do next?
Through you, your worship, I would suggest that they could continue operating it as a long-term rental as
But they can never have it.
No, our bylaw states that no new short-term rentals are allowed to operate in Plympton-Wyoming. As Councillor Bojan pointed out, they've lost the existing status when they switched the use. So at this point, I agree with his statement that they would be considered a new application, not a new application for a pre-existing short-term rental. So based on the bylaw, they would not be able to operate as a short-term rental.
Going further? Okay, I'll call for the vote to receive the report. All those in favor? That is carried. So I'm presuming that you want to know what you can do next.
Yes.
Okay. Clerk or deputy clerk, would you like to share that with me? Deputy?
At this time, since no other motion was brought forward,
We haven't had to change.
based on the bylaw, we're not.
Hang on a minute.
License.
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
So at this time, unless some other motion is brought forward, based on the bylaw, we are not able to issue a license and you are not able to operate as a short-term rental.
Now. Somebody want to bring forth a motion? Councillor Ben Clavin?
like to make the motion that in this case, we make special accommodation for this couple.
And we have a second for Councillor Van Cleveren's motion. Councillor Wolbet?
If I could clarify, Councillor Van Cleveren, so rather than saying make us, sorry, how did you word that again?
A special accommodation.
Yeah, I think it should rely on whether issue a license.
Fair enough.
What you're voting on,
Yes.
to be very clear on what that special.
May I make a suggestion to help out here? The motion could read that the short-term rental application for 6741 Avenue be approved and that the property owners be issued a short-term rental license.
Well, I'm so confused as anybody, but anyway. I think that's a great idea, but we're just opening it up for anybody to come and do that. Like, maybe the next couple in here, coming in here, might not like them. So, well, maybe I don't think we'll do that then. It just opens it up for everybody to come in. Why even have a friggin' bylaw?
Setting a precedent, is what you're saying?
Sorry,
You're setting a precedent?
that's probably what I'm saying. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Rodriguez? Yeah.
Yes, I would just like to say that each person who comes in is on their own merit. You don't set precedents. Every case is individual. The same thing works in committee of adjustments. So every circumstance is different. I don't think you're going to see a long lineup by any sense of the word. We had very few to start with. So, and I think this case, there was short-term rental being used. The bylaw came in during all of this whole thing. I think there's a little bit of a different scenario here. And I think we should treat each case on its own merit.
Councillor Van Cleveren?
I appreciate you saying that because this couple wanted to do the right thing. And it's clear they want to do the right thing. Just by circumstance, it didn't work out for them, obviously, to this point. There's a lot have gone underground. I think we all have to admit that. They're not gonna come in here and ask for a license now. They're just gonna carry on and tick away doing their underground rentals, and we're fooling ourselves if we think otherwise. So I think we need to make sure these folks can operate their family college.
It's a short-term rental.
Short-term
They
residence,
still can operate it as a long-term.
fair enough.
Any further discussion?
Yep, I still have one more.
Yes.
Sorry. So if you can convince me that we're not opening this up for others with similar circumstances, you can convince me it's not gonna be the same for the next applicant, then yeah, I can change my mind.
Misty?
I think the statements about not setting precedent and setting precedent are both correct. You're setting precedent in the sense that you're showing that council's willing to issue a permit which may not read directly as the bylaw intended. But you're also would be looking at each individual application in that situation, recognizing that each application is likely to have different life circumstances that led them to this point. So you are not necessarily setting a huge precedence that everything's going to be allowed. We are setting a precedence that you will consider it.
What was that?
Loved it.
Just give me the abbreviated.
If council said no today, they'd be sending a statement that they will not consider applications that were not deemed to be grandfathered. If they say yes, you are saying that you will consider applications that were not deemed to be grandfathered. And then each application obviously is reviewed on its own merits. So you're not setting precedents that you're going to approve everything that comes in, but you are setting a precedence that you will at least consider them. Yes.
Councillor Rodriguez?
Yes, I would like to add in all fairness, I mean, you, in any bylaw you set, you don't apply it in the most prohibitive way, first of all. And second of all, it's new. And third, I don't think anybody could even come till a year. So I think that's what's kind of held, come until a year had passed or something. So I think that's what's creating kind of these, because they were told they had to wait. If I may ask, Lisa, do you have a lineup of people who had to wait a year, who have been inquiring over the last year?
So in general, no, staff has been able to issue licenses to anyone that complies with the bylaw. So people who have applied, who could comply with the bylaw, they already have licenses. This application was denied by staff, and they've asked for it to be reconsidered by council. Staff, again, our recommendation is that if you allow the application to get approved, that it would be against what your bylaw states. And we did require that they waited till the year, because at the year is when it's the bylaw said that council would start considering them. Council, there are some others that might come forward, as in ones that do meet the grandfathering status and just haven't gotten an application yet. We have sent out notices. There are still about 8 that are operating. We know they're operating. We've supplied them notice. They still haven't submitted. We have gotten bylaw enforcement involved. They will be laying fines in the next month or so. So after those fines are received, those people might come forward at that point. So there are still people that meet the grandfather definition that do not have applications. So we do anticipate that those ones will come forward at some point. So that's about 8 or so. And there were a handful that had switched uses, and we denied their applications as such, who, if they see how this goes, might try and come to council for reconsideration, because we have denied their applications.
Further, before we call for the vote.
Can you read that motion again? Sorry.
Well, yeah. So moved by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Councillor Wolvet, that the short-term rental license application for 6741 Franklin Ave be received and staff be directed to issue a license for pre-existing short-term rental for 6741 Franklin Ave.
Okay,
We want to say something a little.
sorry, I'll shoot your hand up. I missed it.
Smell smoke right now.
I feel like if there's any chance of this, and I'm not gonna speak on behalf of the deputy here, but the way that motion is written, the motion is written quite clearly that we are just going against our bylaw. However, if the motion was saying that we think they do meet the grandfathered pre-existing definition because they did operate before and they operated after, I think that's a different story. But as of right now, the way that motion is written, it does open the door up to just someone buys a house tomorrow and gets a license.
Absolutely.
So I think that motion needs to be a little bit more specific, that we think it meets the requirements of legal non-conforming for operating before and after.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
So council accepts the application as they feel it meets the requirements for pre-existing.
Before and after the bylaw.
Not necessarily, I think.
Just leave that out.
So be directed to issue a license for pre-existing short-term rental for as council feels it met the criteria. Pre-existing.
Mover and seconder, are you comfortable with that?
Yes, sir.
So I would just add at the end of the sentence, as council feels it met the conditions of a pre-existing short-term rental.
Hey, clerk, motion by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Councillor Wolvet, that the short-term rental license application for 6741 Franklin Ave be received and staff be directed to issue a license for a pre-existing short-term rental as council feels it meets the conditions of a pre-existing short-term rental. Comfortable with that? Mover and seconder? Call for the vote. All those in favor? That's carried.
Thank you very much.
If you'd like to, but I'm sure you have other things you'd like to do.
You're joking around.
Not gonna get any more exciting than that.
Do you live near there too, or?
We live on Blackwell.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm just being nosy now.
Have a good night.
It's going to take us down, but I think we got some reports there, don't we? Personal break. Okay, council, let's take a 5-minute
Yeah.
personal break and then we'll come right back. Okay, welcome back. Let's go to item 8.2 on your agenda. Moved by Deputy Mayor McEwen, seconded by Councillor Van Claveren. That report prepared by Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, dated May the 19th, 2026, regarding the Wyoming to Reese's Corners Trail reconstruction be received. That the tender from Sevcon Paving in the amount of $101,000, $101,222 plus HST be accepted, and that bylaw 49 of 2026 be taken as having been read 3 times and finally passed. The mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw accordingly. Anything to add to your report, Mr. De Silva?
Not this time, Your Worship.
So that takes us just from outside the county building to the bush,
That's right.
and that'll be this fall.
This summer, the
Summer.
contractor is indicating, yeah,
Be lots of notice posted
that
up.
would be.
Will we be going public with it as well, like in the paper and stuff like that, to let people know?
Social media, website.
Any questions, Councillor Willett?
So this bid on this trail, about $100,000 and some, is that just for this particular section or is that for the whole job?
Mr. De Silva?
Through your worship, it's just for 500 meters, so it's just the first phase of it. When we had initially brought this to Parks Committee, we thought this would be better done in phases, just because going through the bush, we're gonna have to widen it out through there a little bit, and it would give us a little bit of time to get that work done this year in preparation for doing phase 2 next year. Now we did apply for a grant, and if we are successful with that grant, we'll be able to do a lot more. So we'll have to move pretty quickly.
So follow up, what's the total cost of this going to be when we're done?
Between 350 and 400,000.
Whoa, and that's Parks, not Parks Board budget, is it?
Not on our budget anymore.
No, I'm wondering, yeah.
Successfully moved that to the roads department.
Yeah, okay.
Councillor Vacy?
Yes, thank you. Would it make sense to do this all in one shot? Is it feasible to do it in one shot? Because instead of having first of all, I see the trail being screwed up for 3 years. The price is gonna go up every year as we do it. And the cost, there's gotta be some savings to have them there once than having them come out and do it 3 times. If, does it make sense that we find the money and then just pay it off in the next 2 years to get it done?
What was the recommendation from the Parks Board to go?
It's not on the Parks Board anymore.
Okay, so you turned it over to the Roads Department. The Roads Department saying do it in sections?
Yep, through your worship, when we prepared the roads budget, we obviously try to keep things in line with our projected increase. So we like I said, it's between 350 and 400,000 to get it done. So we thought it would be best done in phases, and it would we think the contractor can get it in and out really quick, and people can, utilize the trail the rest of the year as well. Whereas if we would do it all in one shot, we'd probably be down for 2 or 3 months.
Councillor Vacy?
Well, that's what I'm saying is, what can we get it done? Take money out of reserves and then just pay it back over the next 2 years, 100 grand on your roads budget each year. What we lose in interest on that, we're gonna save in, like I say, A, they're here once, and B, the thing's done in a year, and not 3 years.
De Silva?
Your worship. We are waiting to hear about that grant as well. So I wouldn't want the town to pay the whole thing, and then all of a sudden we get approved for the grant and we have all this money laying on the table. So I think it would be smart to wait to see if we got that grant, and then the work can resume in the fall when the trail gets a little bit less use.
Councillor Rodriguez?
So this phasing is being done in sections, right? So only one section 1 year, one section the next year was kind of what you were thinking.
Correct.
And if you get the grant, you're gonna accelerate that timeframe?
Yes, De Silva?
So through your worship, if we did get the grant, I'd bring another report back to council, asking that we extend this contract. And then the intent would be to get that done probably this fall or very early next spring, depending on the timelines associated with when we'd have to spend that money.
Anything further? Mr. Samansky?
One challenge I see with just doing a whole shot here, I would suggest that you should retender that. That would be a 75% change in the contract value. So you might be able to get better pricing, but the other contractors might have said, well, if I knew I was going for a $400,000 project, I could have provided a lot better price. So you would lose time to that too.
Good. Anything further? All those in favor? Carried. All right, 8.3. I have a motion by Councillor Wolbett, seconded by Councillor Van Claveren, that the report submitted by Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, dated May the 20th, 2026, regarding the capital project status update roads be received. Mr. De Silva, anything to add to that report?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Just that I've been doing this for the committees, Environmental Services Committee and Parks Committee for quite some time now, and I thought it'd be appropriate to provide council with a high level overview of the roads related projects that we're doing right now.
Good. I think it's a good idea. Thank you for doing this. Any questions? Councillor Vacy?
Just a comment, it's, like I say, it's nice to see, so it's good because we get asked questions like this stuff all the time. Well written, thank you very much.
All those in favor? Carried. Okay, 8.4, moved by Deputy Mayor McEwen, seconded by Councillor Van Claveren. That the report by Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, dated May the 15th, 2026, regarding the significant rain event and localized flooding of April the 4th, 2026, be received and the staff be directed to include consideration within the 2027 capital budget for an update to the Stormwater Master Plan to assess existing system performance, identify infrastructure constraints, and evaluate potential flood mitigation strategies. Mr. De Silva, anything to add to that report?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I just thought it would have been it was a good idea just to summarize everything that happened. I mean, we had a lot of people here in chambers. There was a lot of really good discussion that happened that night. There was a lot of thoughts and opinions and ideas of what we should be doing. And so I thought it was best to outline, kind of what happened, what we're currently doing, and what we think we can do in the future.
Councillor Rodriguez?
Thank you. And while I appreciate this is a very good report, I don't see it necessary to follow Sarnia's lead and do more these plans more often. Our infrastructure is old. We know it's old. We know it needs work, and I'd rather see the money spent just fixing it. I don't see anything different in your infrastructure that would bring anything new to the table. And I think a lot of people would just like to see things move forward and not look for things to delay it further. So I do appreciate all this. I just would rather see, and I'm sure a lot of people would rather see the money go towards just fixing what we already know is wrong. Other than that, that's all my comments.
Thoughts?
Yeah, sure. Through Your Worship, when I reference the city of Sarnia's constant updates, it's more they update their what they call IDF curves, so intensity, duration, and frequency. So with our changing weather, that kind of shifts the needle on what you would consider a 2-year storm or a 5-year storm. So that's what they're doing on a consistent basis. I'm looking at we did a stormwater master plan in 2001, another one in 2017. So it's been, by the time we do another one, it'll have been 10 years. And if you read the BM Ross master plan, they do a really good job of identifying, okay, you have these constraints and this is how much it's going to cost. And we recommend that you design to a 2-year storm. But I think it falls short of some of that more out of box thinking, like what can you do, like lot level controls, like what can people do with their properties? What are some, given that all the pipes are sized to 2-year, is there anything you can do with additional stormwater ponds? Is there anything you could do with a catch basin restrictor program so we can slow that water down from getting into the stormwater system? Is there overland flow routes that could be utilized? So I think that new stormwater master plan will really dive into some of those other details that might help us mitigate Another thing I really think it could help with is if there's, you know, disaster mitigation adaptation funding out there, a master plan might help us out a lot in providing in doing an application for that type of funding.
Councillor Boach, and then I can come back to you.
Yeah, thank you. And that was helpful because I was kind of gonna make a similar comment in the sense that, I mean, unless we're gonna rip out every single pipe and put in bigger ones, we're gonna be in the same problem. So I think I would definitely support that in terms of let's hyper focus on those creative solutions of rerouting water, slowing that water down rather than telling us the same thing we already know, that the pipes are too small and they're old. So if we're going super focused, I think that's a great idea, and we can at least start working towards it.
Councillor Rodriguez?
Thank you. Yes, I was just gonna follow up with what you said because I really like the additional storm pond ideas to help reroute some of this water. If that's a solution, a viable solution. Do you need an updated master plan to move forward on something like that? I understand for funding, looking for grants and stuff.
Yeah, through your worship, I think a master plan would give us just a comprehensive overview and provide some capital planning and all the strategies that I previously outlined. Like, we could do like a flood mitigation plan, I suppose, but that's, to me, that's part and parcel with doing an overall stormwater management plan for, you know, in here in Wyoming.
And if I may, I just want to say that I just don't want to see anything hold this up any longer. You know, another 5 years or 10 years when people have clearly expressed they've been going through this repeatedly for many years and whatever those reasons are. So I hope we're still working towards some sort of action plan that's moving the needle forward.
Yeah, there's no intent to stop on some of the improvements that we're currently making. We're, you know, we're spending a lot of dollars on road reconstruction. We're spending a lot of dollars on drainage improvements, not to mention the operational improvements that we're currently working on right now. So we're trying to move the needle always in that direction. And I don't think that we're not just going to stop and perform a stormwater management plan and then afterwards implement those things 5 years down the road. Everything is going to kind of be concurrent. It's going to be flowing. We're going to be constantly moving the needle on it.
Anything further?
I think the lady in the corner had her vote.
Mrs. Clark?
I don't know if I'm allowed to step in or not, but I just had a quick question. We do need a little bit of help around our house. So in front of our house on Broadway Street, we have 2 drains. We have one on the west side, we have one on the east side. Those drains are always full of grass, sticks, just pollutants. For 30 years, we've been out there on Broadway Street doing our diligent cleaning them. But over the years, the traffic has got terrible, the transports. We are now putting our life at danger, trying to save our house as it starts to flood up our laneway and over top of the curb. On top of that, there's another drain in the ditch adjacent to our property between the Baptist church. That drain is connected to the Stonehouse drain. It is also filling up with grass and sticks and stuff, which we've also been maintaining. Now that one, we're not really putting our lives at risk, but the property adjacent to ours, the other house, will not clean up his garbage. And I should not have to clean it up either. So we have 3 drains, 2 on Broadway Street that we've tried to clear, but now we need help. It's not fair that we go out there before every storm and put our lives at risk. So we need help. We need somebody out there cleaning those drains. We also need somebody to address the property next to us that also takes care of the drain that goes to Stonehouse. Because when it fills with water, it backs up to our property. That ditch will only hold so much water. We're gonna drown one year, and it won't be our fault.
Well, Mrs. Clark, thank you very much for sharing that. What's your house address? So,
86 Broadway Street.
okay. The drains on the boulevard, I believe, are under the county
Yes.
direction. I will take that to the county personally.
Thank you.
The ones at the back for the Stonehouse Green, do we have a letter, Mr. Silva?
Through your worship, there's a catch basin that I believe is on the church property and part of their site.
Actually on the municipal property.
That's as far as I know, it's a fire lane through there.
I did so I met with Mr. and Mrs. Clark, following rainfall events. We had a good discussion. And afterwards, I tried to look to see if there was a municipal alley and it didn't show up on our GIS system, so.
That's what all the neighbors behind us, that's why their gardens, their property ends here and they have gardens here in the field, because they've all said that's a fire lane that runs right from the end of the zone right up to Broadway. I'm just going by what they said.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't find anything on the GIS system, so we'd have to do like a title search to see if there's anything underlying there that might be there, but I couldn't find any municipal owned property in that area.
Can we leave that with you to follow up with the Clarks to see what's going on there, Mr. Silva?
Yeah, sure, of course.
That part.
With that catch basin, I think another issue is that when the Stonehouse drain fills up, right, water equalizes. And that's, I think, the issue with Broadway Street as well. So those catch basins are connected to the Stonehouse drain via the Broadway Street drain. So as soon as that Stonehouse drain fills up and the water equalizes across, that water isn't going anywhere until the Stonehouse recedes. So that's an issue as well. And I appreciate the fact that you guys are going out there and cleaning the catch basins, but even if they were perfectly clean, I believe that problem would still persist.
Well, I'll follow up with the county, see what we can do for that. Councillor Basie.
Did we not, thank you, your worship. A few years ago, when we cleaned out our section of that drain, did it not go to Enniskillen to finish that off? Because, like I say, the water's not getting away, so it's getting to, there's a backup somewhere south of us, obviously, before it gets to the creek. And then where did that ever end up? Has that been done? Have we asked them? Have we?
Mr. Silva?
So through your worship, our section of the Stonehouse drain, including a small portion in Enniskillen, did get cleaned out under the drainage report. But those drains are also only designed and constructed to convey so much water as well. So there's always going to be, when you have this much rain at one time, there's always going to be a restriction somewhere. So that's why, the last time we spoke about this, I thought maybe some type of relief pond that gives that water somewhere to go in the meantime could be something that could be investigated. But in terms of,
It's clean all the way to the creek is what
it's not clean all the way because it flows through Petrolia as well. So no, it's not cleaned out all the way to there. Do you mind if I defer to Ryan to see what the process would be to request that?
Mr. Tammy?
Yeah, as the municipality, through the mayor, sorry. As a municipality, we can petition as a road authority, another municipality to clean the drain for experiencing problems. I probably have a conversation with their drainage superintendent first, to ask them if they've had any issues with their Stonehouse drain. They might say, it's clear and open, and when Bear Creek's full, it doesn't push. It can't get in. They might say, yeah, we have complaints and there's issues and we've been waiting for a request to get to maintenance or for a new report, depending on what's going to be required. But that municipality can definitely petition a neighboring municipality for drain maintenance or improvement.
To me, that would make sense. Like I say, if it's we've done our part, we're clean at our end, but if the bottom end's plugging up, we can clean all we want. Unless we dig it deeper and deeper and deeper, it's still not getting to the creek down the way. So I think that's something we should at least explore and see what they've done in the past. And if there is a need for a cleanup, then let's get it done.
Do we need a motion, clerk, to have Mr. Tammy follow up on that?
So
I don't think so until we make an official.
Mr. Tammy, would you like to follow up on that, please?
Like in a subsequent report, staff report?
I think follow up with Enniskillen's drainage superintendent.
Oh, yeah.
And arising from that, the road authority can submit a request for maintenance if needed.
And Petrolia, if they're in the middle of all that, let's talk about them.
Yep, for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further? Okay, call for the vote. All those in favor? Council go to 8.5. Moved by Councillor Rodriguez, seconded by Councillor Vaizey, to the report by Norma Roddick Priest, Treasurer, dated May the 21st, 2026, regarding the first quarter 2026 budget update be received and filed. Roddick Priest, thank you very much for putting that together. Are there any questions for the Treasurer? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Nine point one. Council, that's one that we've added, you saw on our supplementary agenda. Motion Rodriguez, seconded by Councillor Bojan, that bylaw 17, 2026, for the Jackson Drain being a bylaw to provide drainage works the town of Plympton-Wyoming and the county of Lambton be taken as having been read a third time, finally passed on this 26th day of May 2026, and the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw accordingly. Questions? All those in favor? That's carried. Okay, let's go to item number 10.1. Motion by Councillor Wolbett, seconded by Councillor Van Claveren, that the correspondence suggests the following motion. The council waives the rental fees for Arrow Village Public School to rent the Kamlaki Community Center for their grade 8 graduation on Wednesday, June the 17th, 2026. Any questions on this one? I think we've done these things before. Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. 10.2. Motion by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Councillor Wolbett. The correspondence suggests the following motion. That correspondence submitted by the Plympton-Wyoming Special Events Committee be received, and that the 25th anniversary of the amalgamation of Plympton-Wyoming event on Saturday, June the 13th, 2026, be declared as a municipally significant event in accordance with the regulation for a special occasion permit by the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario. All those in favor? Carried. Item 11.1. Correspondence recommended reading and routine approval for information items. Moved by Councillor Vaizey, seconded by Councillor Bojan. That correspondence items A to D related to recommended reading and routine approval and information items not otherwise addressed by resolution be noted as received by the Plympton-Wyoming Council and filed accordingly. That's A to D. Beginning on my right, Councillor Rodriguez, anything from you?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting my name to be called first. This freedom of information one, they wanted to ask if Aaron was kind of,
Number B.
sorry, yes.
See,
Let's see.
C.
Yes.
Yes, go right ahead.
So this one is a little bit different than in the past. We've had the looking for a reform to that. This is in response to the act changing other levels of government.
Right.
And how the act speaks to them.
Okay. So if I may, that new legislation with the updates, I thought it did affect municipalities in some capacity.
Your Worship, there are some changes. Being that I've been away, I'm not up to date of all of those. However, this is the biggest change that obviously municipalities are concerned about. I can't really speak to whether the changes are going to help us in our challenges with MFIPA. But this was one of, I don't know, half a dozen we've received on this exact topic of making it not a requirement for other levels of government, but continuing to have it for municipal. So
how do you feel about that? Because it affects her. So I want to support her. that's all.
I think that it should be the same for everybody. I mean. There's reform that needs to happen to MFIPA
Mhm.
and that needs to happen across the board. But I don't agree with saying, oh, you don't have to follow it, you don't have to follow it,
Okay,
but you do.
right,
So,
okay.
but this one's a little bit separate from the reform. It's in reaction to some of the reform that they did.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you're okay? Because I don't want to get in trouble. You told me 2 years later, you guys didn't pull it. I'm like, what?
Good to draw attention to it.
Yes.
What would you like to do, Councillor Rodriguez?
Nothing.
Okay. Councillor Vacy?
Did we ever do anything with the salary one, which is B? We do anything on our own?
I think we just discussed that during the budget
Well,
time.
then I would like to pull that one and support it then, please. It's the Township of Clearwater with the $100,000 salary. They probably heard us talking about it and jumped on.
Presuming they would have, yeah.
You hit through watching.
Anything else, Councillor Vacy?
That's all I have, thank you.
Councillor Bojan?
Nothing from me, thank you.
Councillor Wilbet?
Nothing for me. Nope.
Councillor Van Claveren? Thank you, sir. Deputy?
No.
All right, so the only one we're getting pulled is B.
Councillor Vacy, if there's nothing for
Okay,
this.
is there a second for Councillor Vacy's, Councillor Van Claveren, I guess. Van Claveren will then go up.
Can you comment on it?
Which,
The salary thing. Although I agree with it, it needs to be moved. I just don't, they put a specific number on it, which I don't agree with. So, anyway, that's my.
you can talk to the man that wanted to pull that beside you.
Did you hear me or is your? Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
We have a motion by Councillor Vacy, seconded by Councillor Bojan, that correspondence item A to D related to recommended reading and approval. Information items not otherwise addressed by resolution. Be noted as received by the Plympton-Wyoming Council and filed accordingly, save and accept for item B. All those in favor? Carried. And moved by Councillor Vacy, seconded by Councillor Van Claveren, that council support correspondence item B from the Township of Clearview regarding the public sector salary disclosure inflation adjustments. All those in favor? Can I see those hands again, folks? Okay, passes. New business, Councillor Wolvett.
Just 2 items or information items. Just be aware that Mr. Scott Jordan's retirement at Kamlaki Community Center on Saturday, the 30th from 1 to 4 will be an open house. So, and the other thing is, I guess tomorrow night at county banquet at 5:30 in Point Edward. So I don't know, do we need tickets for that?
If you haven't ordered your tickets ahead of time, I don't think there's tickets for you, sir.
It's you, Arvis.
No, where do you get the tickets?
Oh, they're purchased online. You're on a list at the door there. I
Oh.
don't think there's physical tickets.
Oh.
If you say that again, I want to see the color green.
So if anybody wants to go, your name is Bob Woolabit.
Yeah, anyways, that's all.
Good, thank you, Councillor.
Sorry for the misunderstanding.
All right, I'd like to see.
Thanks for the tickets. I've already jumped out of the.
You're not
Sorry.
sorry.
I got 2 fillings tomorrow,
There's a
anyway, so.
dirt at Kamlaki, at the baseball diamonds. And they're doing the red clay. I understand that part, but there's a whole bunch of dirt. But what's the dirt from? You know?
I think it's probably Ball Diamond 3
Oh, it's coming from,
Hardball,
yeah, I know, but it's all coming, like, it's up by the building. If they're doing ball diamond number 3, I just didn't understand. Okay, you got an explanation?
Yeah, Clark.
Your Worship, I read all about that this morning on the Kamlaki Athletic Association.
Oh, good.
It was either an email or a Facebook post. So they're taking that out of Diamond 3.
Okay.
They had to put it somewhere. They're working on getting it out. It will be gone out of the parking lot.
Oh, okay, I
Part
just
of
want
the renovations.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
did say that parents could assist and earn volunteer time and helping getting rid of the dirt, so.
So
That's Diamond 3 renovations.
Yes, okay, well, I
Should be
wondered
short
why
term.
that dirt was so far, you know.
I think
didn't
moved
have
it up
anything to do with it.
to move it out.
Yeah, got it, thank you. That's all.
Okay, Councillor Rodriguez.
That was my exact question. What is all those dirt piles doing in the Kamlaki parking lot? And one's like a top sod, and then the other one's more of that red stuff.
Yes, red clay for.
The other 2 piles. So they're looking to get rid of all that grass, the topsoil?
They will.
Well, that's why I was asking if they're looking to get rid of it. I have.
Did not state what they were doing, just that it was moving.
I was trying to help.
So I can't back up with my trail. Okay.
Call them.
So suggest if you're interested in the dirt at the community center, contact the athletic association, please and thank you.
Share the fun.
For your own shovel.
Councillor Vacy.
Yes, your worship, thank you. Just the Wyoming Lions golf tournament is coming up on the 12th. It's sold out again, thank God. Money's going to the hospice and to the ER renovations in Petrolia. And we have a online auction starting June 1st, which will be hosted by Shackleton's Auctions. And from what I understand, there's about 30-40 items in there to be bought. So we look it up and spend some money. Last year, I think we raised close to 50,000, so we're hoping to do that again. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Can I go to Councillor?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Thank you.
All right, Councillor Rodriguez.
Yes, sorry, I did forget because that dirt pile. There was people who were looking forward to having a burn at the Sunset Park. Due to all the high, we have an extremely high tick population, probably higher than more areas because we have a large bluff full of vegetation and conducive. But we also have Vallon development that's undeveloped for a long time, and then we have the naturalized park. So there was some people a little bit upset the burn wasn't happening. Is there like a regular schedule that occurs?
Are you talking about a burn?
Burn, sorry, controlled burn.
Mr. De Silva, do you want that one?
Through your worship, we try to do it every couple of years.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we just could not align wind, rain conditions with the contractor that does it. And it just got to be too late where everything was just too green to do the burn. So regrettably, it did not happen this spring, but we will target next spring. Hopefully it's favorable at that time.
Okay, and just one more thing, with the severe ice storm we did have in the wintertime, I noticed in Highland Glen walking through the trail system, that there was several felled trees, possibly due to the icing over the winter. Has any of that been expected or any plans to? And the other park would be the Blue Point Park as well. There's quite a bit of felled trees there. And with kids running in and out of those areas, I think, I just don't know what your plans were to inspect those areas.
Yourself?
Through your worship, so our staff are routinely in there looking at the trail systems. I don't think we intended on pulling out any large trees that were deemed safe and on the ground and part of the ecosystem there, but anything that would be blocking the trail or could pose a risk, we will definitely have a look at and clean up.
And that includes Blue Point?
We can look at Blue Point as well.
Thank you.
Deputy?
Yeah, can you go through Sunset Thistle Park with the roundup?
Okay, next question.
Well, there's no burn happening, but burn doesn't even seem to take the thistles away. It doesn't. Then they just keep coming back. Something has to be done about those thistles. It's a thistle park, period. You're just looking at me. There's no answer?
Tried to cut some of it down a little bit.
Oh, they're still gonna come back, just cutting them down.
Inherently, the only way to deal with invasive plants
That butterfly.
in a natural grass prairie is to burn it. Otherwise, they do come back. Because if you round it up, you're not only removing the invasive species, but you'll be removing the non-invasive species as well. And what tends to happen is once you use Roundup, the invasive species repopulate faster than the non-invasive species.
That's a very nice explanation. However, there is more thistles there than anything
Prairie
good.
grass, yeah.
I have yet to see one thing in there that is not a thistle. Have you been there past there lately?
I drive past there on occasion, and I have not got out to count the vegetation to determine the percentage of thistle.
I would have to say it's very pretty come near the fall time with
Yeah,
those yellow,
yeah,
what are those?
seeds.
No, the yellow plants, the yellow flowering like a daisy. Beautiful.
Called goldenrod.
No, it's not called goldenrod. They're pretty.
It doesn't matter. There's outnumbered by immensely by these thistles. I can't even say it anymore.
I would suggest if council has opinions on if we should handle that park in a non-naturalized manner, a discussion should start at the Parks and Recreation Committee
Done.
to determine on how that property should be managed into the future, whether as a full naturalized park, as a park that is occasionally mowed, or however, so that would probably be a good area to start it.
Don't be killing the turtles and the.
Oh my
Leave them
God.
alone.
A turtle can't even go through there with their hard shell.
It's a beautiful area to walk through.
Okay. So now at this time, we're going to be going into a close. I have a motion by Councillor Rodriguez, seconded by Councillor Bojan. The council move into an in-camera meeting of council pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended for the following reasons. Item A, C, personal matters, section 239, bracket 2, bracket B. Personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. Item B, litigation matters, section 239, bracket 2, bracket E. Litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals, after the municipality or local board. And item C, third-party confidential information, section 239, bracket 2, bracket I, information that has been supplied in confidence by a third party. All those in favor? That is carried. So those that have been joining with us virtually, we thank you very much for your patience for following us this evening. We'll be going in camera, coming out and closing down for the evening. Thank you again.